I'm Taylor and welcome to another episode of Brill. We have a special guest in the studio today. We have Linda from Evisory. How are you?
Good, thanks Taylor. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. And as per usual, we're joined by Brandon from Cybersecurity. How are you today?
Well, thanks Taylor.
Let's just talk a little bit about you for the moment, Linda. So you're a qualified CPA accountant and you run your own small business. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So my own small business is called Evisory. I work with hospitality business owners to streamline their accounting and bookkeeping processes so they can focus on running their business and leaving all the finances to me so I can help them grow.
Most importantly, you use Cybersecurity's cutting-edge cybersecurity services, and likewise, Cybersecurity uses Evisory's top-tier accounting. How have you found working with each other? You go first, Linda.
It's been really good. I think with Cybersecurity, Brandon has created a user awareness training program that really tailors to the accounting profession. So it's been very helpful, and being able to allow my staff to also do a bit of training so they have an understanding on how to be cyber safe and not be scammed.
Yeah. So Brandon, over to you just quickly. Cybersecurity, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so Cybersecurity is a preventative cybersecurity firm, predominantly oriented towards smaller businesses. Now, the reason that I have specifically targeted small business is because they are the ones that need these services the most. So the average cost of a cyber attack, last year it was $55,000. It's now risen to $70,000. No small business can afford that whatsoever. So the purpose of Cybersecurity is to address the three key vulnerabilities within a small business. So that is the policies and procedures of the business. So how businesses store information, why they store it, and how they handle this information. I look at the technology. In any small business, it's easy to miss stuff. Small business IT is not immune from missing certain things within a technology framework. So I take a look at the technology, but my real focus in the business is on people. Changing the culture of the business to be more cyber aware, to recognise and block threats.
There you go. Well, thank you for that. So, shall we get into some questions for you both?
Sure.
So, seeing as it's the start of the new financial year, I have a couple of questions kind of about taxes and everything like that I'd like to discuss. So first off, for you, Brandon, ATO scams, they run rife at this time of year. What do you do if you suspect that you are being targeted by an ATO scam, and how do you avoid them in the future?
If you have only received the email and you haven't acted on it, just delete the email. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. If you have clicked on the link but you haven't inserted any information, get your IT guy or cybersecurity person to check over your machine, but you're generally fine. Mm-hmm. That's not complete guidance.
Yeah.
So it's general advice here, but just get your IT guy to check it out, but you'll usually be all right.
Yep.
If you have actively entered your passwords, if you have actively entered some payment information within these scam portals, I guess you can call them, if you've handed over credit card information, if you have provided anything sensitive to these people, so this could include your driver's license number, it could be your Medicare information, it could be any number of identifiable information, it's best to talk to someone that specialises in this area. So your first port of call is to lock your bank accounts down, lock your cards, change your passwords on government services, and get your computer checked once again.
Sure. That is some good tips there. I see also that the government now has a way of verifying whether or not it's a scam, especially with ATO. So you can actually go on their website and I believe you can send them screenshots or something of the potential scam and they'll analyse it and tell you whether it's legit or not.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
The best way to just avoid scams altogether is, rather than clicking on a link in an email, just go to the service directly.
Yeah.
So if you get an email from MyGov, don't click on the link in the email. Just go to the MyGov website, log in the usual way, and that's the best way you can avoid falling for them.
Okay, an ATO question for you now, Linda. So if myself or another small business owner has received a letter or a phone call from the ATO stating that they have outstanding tax debt, what can you do? Like, do they come to you? Or are you able to help?
Yeah, so most of the time, if they received a letter, or nowadays they're probably receiving text messages
Yeah.
about, say, BAS being upcoming and due when
Yeah.
they're not. Best to give your accountant a call, just so they can give ATO a call or check on their portal
Yeah.
to see if it's actually a letter that's being sent out or if it's a scam.
Yeah. Okay. Another one for you, Linda. Can you please explain what the instant asset tax write-off is and how businesses can use the money?
Yeah, sure. So the instant tax write-off, so it's at 20,000 at the moment. So what that means is a business can install or have an asset up to the amount of 20,000 ready to use before the end of next financial year, and that's all claimable instantly through your tax return. So it could be anything from computers to actual tables or desk, anything that's used for the business.
There you go. And that kind of leads on to my question for you, Brandon, is how could people use this instant tax write-off towards cybersecurity or IT infrastructure?
Yeah. In most small businesses, you'll usually find the dingy old router in the corner with the Wi-Fi coming from it. It's probably yellow from how old it is. No one's probably looked at it in 10 years. Now, those are good for homes. They're not great for businesses. So using your instant tax write-off to purchase real, robust security mechanisms in your business, the thing that I've got in mind is using a firewall router. Those cost usually less than $1,000 and they provide infinitely more protection than the old consumer-grade router that you've got sitting in the corner collecting dust. Other things you can provide to your staff using instant asset write-off, as Linda just said, you can purchase new computers. Now, there's a looming deadline from October next year when Windows 10 loses support. Already.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make you feel old?
Sure does.
From October next year, Windows 10 will no longer get security updates, and officially computers built before 2018 will not get the free upgrade to Windows 11 because they're incompatible. Just like that.
Okay.
So investing your instant asset write-off in purchasing new computers, as simple as that, it's a great cybersecurity move.
Yeah. Could you use it towards training? Yeah, training.
Yeah, training. When you have probably a company of more than five staff members, an in-person training session just to get them up to speed about what's happening in the industry.
So the assets don't need to be tangible, they can be services.
Sure. But training also helps too.
Yeah.
So, switching gears for a minute here, kind of on the same topic, what with you, Brandon, how have you found working with Evisory? What services of theirs do you use that you found really helpful?
I use Evisory for everything,
Okay.
whether that's bookkeeping, tax accounting, advice,
Yep.
no matter what it is. As the owner of an IT-based company, I'm not glued to my desk all day, every day. I'm going out, seeing customers, going from site to site, and I just don't have the time
Yeah.
to do all of my compliance work. I don't have the time to look at my profit and loss sheet. I don't have time for any of that. So where Linda from Evisory comes in is she breaks down all of this information for me so that I know what position my business is in, where to next, and how to get there. Linda is an expert at breaking down raw figures and giving me actionable insights to go and pursue my business goals.
So you could say she does all the shit that you don't have time for.
Yeah, that's right.
And same question for you, Linda. Cyber Guys, what do they do for you and how have you utilised their services?
So with Cyber Guys, I guess using firstly the user awareness training, but also if there are any scam emails that are coming through, I can reach Brandon easily just to ensure and double check that these emails coming through are actually scams, not phishing scams, not real, or even IT services. Brandon's always easily reachable whenever I have IT issues, which is mostly all the time.
Computers, hey?
Computer, yeah.
Yeah,
Would you say that he might be an expert in small business cybersecurity?
Definitely an expert in small business cybersecurity.
Yeah, it's important to note that Evisory has state-of-the-art spam control on their systems, But no spam controller is ever perfect. There will always be something that creeps through. So that's why you need to get staff some training.
There you go. So, Brandon, cybersecurity question for you. When it comes to small businesses themselves, especially in the hospitality industry, why is cybersecurity so important?
So did you know that the hospitality industry is actively targeted in cybercrime?
What does that mean?
The hospitality industry is an increasing industry that is coming under attack.
Okay.
It is a very cash flow intensive industry. There's invoices flowing to and from these businesses all the time. So in the last year, the prevalence of cyber attacks have increased approximately 14 to 16%. Year on year, across all industry sectors, cybercrime is rising, but particularly hospitality. And this is because of the fact that they have so much money coming in and out. It's easy to slip a fake invoice in there and hope that the bookkeeper misses it.
Okay. That's scary.
It is, yeah.
I mean, it'd be so easy to do. Like, if you get an invoice from someone, you just check the bank details, but, oh, we've got new bank details, change it in your system and send them your money.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess that's important to stay on top of that. And I guess your user awareness training would definitely help identify stuff like that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A big part of cybersecurity isn't even the technology itself. As I mentioned earlier, it's the people.
Yeah.
Ensuring that your staff have the knowledge to know when something is real from fake, or to have the intelligence to know that if they suspect something isn't quite right, to slow down rather than speed up. We're all busy people,
Yeah.
but when it comes to financial transactions, which are, again, really prevalent in the hospitality industry, you got to slow down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will miss things like a fake invoice.
Yeah.
They could cost businesses thousands and thousands of dollars. And once that money disappears, you're unlikely to see it again unless your bank pays you back.
Similar question for you, Linda. Finding a good bookkeeper, why is it so important to a small business?
Well, firstly, Taylor, so bookkeepers, there's a big difference between, I guess, bookkeepers and BAS agents.
Okay.
So as a BAS agent, you get to, firstly, there's a lot of experience behind it. There's a lot of study, but you also can do things like coding, GST transactions, you can do your super and payroll, whereas a normal bookkeeper, probably working within a company, doesn't have that experience, so they could be miscoding items.
Okay. Is there a difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant as well, or is an accountant a BAS agent?
There is definitely a big difference.
Okay.
I think a bookkeeper and an accountant works great together.
Yep.
So as an accountant, you have to get your tax license. You either go for a CA or a CPA.
Yeah.
So an accountant purely lodges the tax return back in the day. Nowadays, they do a lot of cash flow analysis, budgeting, advisory services. So that's something that we offer at Evisory. Whereas a bookkeeper focuses on keeping the data correct and nice and neatly. So when the end of financial year comes around, they can pass on the data to the accountants to do their tax returns, and they're happy because the books are nice and clean.
Okay, that makes sense. So there is a difference, and they're both, all three are very important, I suppose.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a question for both of you, and I'd like to start with you, Linda. How do you get businesses to change its mindset around bookkeeping or even cybersecurity, I guess? Because it seems like a lot of people contact you when everything's falling apart and they need you. How would you suggest that businesses don't do that?
Don't do that. Okay. Well, I guess the mindset thing is a really, really big one for small businesses. When you're a small business, you have these different elements that you have to work around. You have to keep the business flowing. You have to bring in more sales. You have to do your bookkeeping, or you have to do repairs and maintenance, even for a service, not a service business, but a trade business. So making sure that keeping on top of everything is hard. So having the right mindset, being positive as well, because when you go down that rabbit hole, you can't really get out of it. And that's what I see with most business owners that I meet up with. They're at the point where they finally hit rock bottom and they need a bit of assistance. Sometimes it's difficult to get them out of that sandpit, I suppose.
Sure.
So just reaching out, changing your mindset, reaching out to someone before you get there.
Yeah.
Just to have a chat.
And Brandon, how do you suggest that people become more proactive at their approach? Like, what would you suggest to someone rather than letting them just wait till it's a fan?
Ditto.
Okay, easy.
Being proactive in business is very hard, particularly in small business.
Yep.
And as a small business owner myself, I know how little time you have to be proactive in your business. You've got staff to manage, you've got accounts to settle, you've got people ringing you with requests. You've got to be everything to everyone as a small business owner. So trust me, I get it. I really get it. It's not easy to run a business. Where services like Evisory or Cyber Guys come into it, Linda is absolutely right. Business owners often come to us when they've hit rock bottom, particularly with Cyber Guys, when people have had a disaster and they know that they need to do something, but they haven't done it because of the lack of time. Mm-hmm. And it's often resulted in huge consequential losses that you wouldn't even have hope of trying to fix.
Yeah.
So it is vital that a small business owner that is watching this, any small business owner, take this as an opportunity to just fire an email off. Just send us an email. You know, you don't need to come in for a meeting to get some good advice from professionals. And both technology and administration go hand in hand, really. You got to know what your financial position is to be able to invest in the technology in your business that probably runs your business nowadays. So just start with sending someone an email. It's
Don't
a
be
good
afraid
place
to reach out.
Yeah, don't be afraid to reach out. We've seen it all.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it would not be a Bull or Brill podcast unless we did some myth busting. So I'm going to throw some rapid fire questions at you guys and you can answer either true or false, or if you have to, one sentence only, okay? So, Brandon, you're up first.
Yeah.
Number 1, financial data is safe in the cloud.
Bullshit.
All right. Number 2, cybersecurity is too expensive for small businesses.
Absolutely not.
Okay. And finally, small businesses are most at risk of a cyber attack.
Yes.
Cool. All right, Linda, your turn. You ready?
Sure.
All right. Number 1, bookkeeping can be done just once a year.
No, that's bull.
Only large businesses require accounting software.
No, that's not true.
Number 3, technology can help improve efficiency.
Yes, absolutely.
And number 4, accounting can't be fun.
Accounting can be funny if you're working with Evisory.
There you go. Well, I have one final question for you both. So, Brandon, you first. What is one piece of advice you'd offer to someone that's looking to start their own business?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Okay. Do you want to let Linda answer first?
Yeah, you sounded like you were about to answer something, so go for it.
I was, yeah. Doing your research would be key, but you have to go into business with a passion. If you're passionate about something, it's gonna grow. You have to, because this is your small business. This is your whole life. So you have to do something that you love.
Yeah.
That's most important.
That's great advice. What about you, Brandon?
My advice is multi-tiered.
Okay.
So I know you said one piece of advice, but you can't really summarise the startup process of a small business in one piece of advice.
That's okay.
So to start with, seek that expert advice.
Yeah.
You do not know it all. No matter how much you may think you're an expert in your industry, you don't know it all when you start a small business. So reach out to people in key sectors within a small business to get set up correctly the first time. The second bit of advice is kind of sub-advice. It's related to the first bit. Get out there and network. Marketing isn't just putting an ad up on Facebook. It's not just letterbox dropping. It's getting in front of people. As a naturally very shy person, that's very difficult to do. But networking and getting to know people is absolutely critical. And often it determines whether or not a small business will be successful.
Yeah,
or
a lot of
not.
the time it's not what you know, it's who you know. With a lot of most things in life, really, I guess.
That's right.
Yeah.
When I started my business, my first call was to join a networking group.
Okay.
And right from the start. Networking was responsible for 100% of the business back then. 2 and a bit years later, still in business, it still represents over 50% of my business. You can never get that sort of result from a Facebook ad. So get out there and get to know people. They will help you run your business just through the power of their good advice.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Linda, and always a pleasure, Brandon.
Thank
It
you.
is so lovely to see you guys be so passionate about your jobs, and your businesses. It's truly inspiring, the both of you. So, I'm Taylor, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Bull or Brill. Make sure you tune in next week because we'll be back to our regular schedule. And so thanks guys.
The bull's starving. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.